That's the Queensland Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk. She's also concerned that vaping is a stepping stone into smoking, but an anti-smoking doctor believes that isn't the case. Dr. Colin Mendelsohn was the founding chairman of Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction Association. Dr. Mendelsohn, good morning.
Good morning, Rebecca.
What do you make of this announcement from the Queensland government?
Look, I think it's a bit of a stunt, really. What we know is that vaping actually is the most effective quitting aid for adult smokers, and it's something we need to encourage. But the problem at the moment is that we've regulated it totally incorrectly, and we have this thriving black market as a result. And the products the Premier is talking about are black market illegal products imported from China. And yes, there are concerns about those, but that's quite different to the legal regulated market, which we would like people to be using.
So let me just go to a couple of the things that the Premier mentioned there, because they'll be what stands out in people's mind. The idea that there might be nail polish or bug spray in vaping substances. Is there...
Look, that really is nonsense. I mean, in tobacco smoke, there's over 7,000 toxic chemicals in high doses. When you vape, you're heating a liquid with nicotine into a liquid vapor. Now, there's only a tiny fraction of the chemicals that are in smoke are present in vapor, and those that are there are mostly less than 1%. So, look, there are toxic chemicals everywhere. What's important is the dose, and the dose of these chemicals is next to negligible in most cases. And we have lots of studies on that now, and I'm talking about the legal regulated products. I mean, what's on the black market, we don't know.
Yeah. Let me go to the evidence that exists already. Is vaping a gateway to smoking, as the government says they're concerned?
No, it's not. And we've had this conversation over decades with lots of different drugs being gateways to other things, but it appears, if anything, that vaping is a gateway out of smoking for young people. It's diverting young people away from smoking. It's a substitute for smoking. So in countries where vaping is readily available, vaping rates in young people have gone up, but smoking rates have declined faster than ever.
What's happening to Queensland's smoking rate, Colin?
Well, I think that's where the Premier should really be focusing, because Queensland's smoking rate, although she says in her media release it's continuing to fall, it's actually not. So in 2014, the adult smoking rate was 16.5%. In 2020, it was 15.5%, which is a very non-significant decline.
Okay, so but that is a fall, though.
Well, but in New Zealand, the smoking rate fell 33% in 2 years from 2020 to 2022 after the government legalised and regulated vaping. So that is not really a significant fall. 33% in 2 years is a huge fall, and we see those sorts of results with vaping. And I think the government needs to focus on helping adult smokers who are just not quitting.
You're listening to Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, who is the founding chairman of the Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction Association. He is concerned that this announcement about a parliamentary inquiry into vaping won't actually reduce smoking rates. I mean, the bottom line, though, is people don't want young people taking up vaping, no. Colin. So how do we address that?
Yeah, look, teens shouldn't be smoking or vaping, and I'm certainly not supporting that. Mind you, vaping is not harmless, but the risks are exaggerated. But the reason young people are vaping is that we've got a regulatory model for vapes that isn't working. We've got a huge black market, and kids are buying them freely on the black market. And the only way to stop a black market is to replace it with a legitimate legal market. So what they do in other countries, New Zealand, the UK, the US, is they have licensed retailers selling regulated legal products as adult consumer products. So you don't need a prescription. And you need strict age verification, severe penalties, loss of license. So you have regulated products sold by properly regulated licensed retailers, and kids obviously have much more difficulty accessing them. And if you supply adults, then the black market loses loses its activity and slowly diminishes. It's the black market that's selling to kids, not the legal market.
Okay, so we know the black market exists. We know vaping is not actually healthy. There's that conversation about, is it a gateway for smokers, adult smokers, to come off cigarettes? And that you say there's some benefit there. So is an inquiry needed in Queensland?
Look, I think the inquiry is a waste of time. We know what's in legal products. The black market, well, we don't know what's in them, but it doesn't matter. They shouldn't be available, and we need to be addressing the source of the black market. And there are ways to do that. We know kids are vaping. This inquiry won't have any effect on that if it doesn't resolve the black market problem. But what is important is that these products should be accessible to adult smokers because they're the most effective quitting aid that we have. And they should be readily available for people who can't quit. And in Queensland, smokers aren't quitting, and that's a public health crisis.
Colin Mendelsohn, very much appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, who was the founding chairman of the Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction Association. By the way, he has no financial or commercial relationship with any electronic cigarette or tobacco company. He says he never has and never will.